Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Today I read aloud Pete the Cat and the Perfect Pizza Party. And now I'm going to show you parents, grandparents, homeschool parents, teachers, how you can use these free downloads to make some manipulatives. That's what we called them when I was an elementary school teacher. But some stuff that your kids can play with to help retell the story. These are perfect for them for literature learning and for language arts, that kind of thing, or just for fun. So follow me to my screen and let's get started. Okay, as usual, I am working in Silhouette software, and I use this for any machine that I have. I use it for my Cricut Explore Air 2. You can use it for your Maker, you can use it for your Cameo, and I believe for your Scan and Cut as well. So let's get started, like I said. So here's my open screen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to open Pete Pizza. It's an Acrobat file, an Adobe Acrobat file. And I'm going to show you how to use this easily in this program. Once you open it, here's what you want to do though. You want to go ahead and make sure that instead of saying import as vector, you change it to import as image and change your DPI to 300 dots per inch. 144 would probably be fine too. I'm just used to changing it to 300. Then I would just say import. And that brings that first picture right in here that I'm going to make into a print and cut. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import or open up the other parts. So watch. Go to File, Open. There it is again. And again, it comes in like this. It says Current Page, and it's page number 1. I'm going to see what's on page number 2. Perfect. Now remember, don't import it as a vector. It looks like this is checked, but it's not. You have to click on Import as Image, change the DPI or dots per inch to 300 and say Import. That put it on a totally different page, which is terrific, just fine. Okay, let's do it again because I believe there's still more. File, Open. Again, Pete Pizza. I'm going to see if there's a page 3. Let's see how many pages. This is the last page. I'm going to change it again to Import as an Image. Drop down, change it to 300 DPI, and say Import. Okay, now each one of these is on a separate page, and I'd prefer them all to be on the same page. So I'm just going to grab this, just click on it to grab it, right-click and say Copy. I'm going to come to my first page and paste it with this. There we go. So now we have both of these things. Remember, there were 3 pages, so I need to get the other one. There we go. Copy. Just click on it, right-click and say Copy. Go back to that first page and say Paste. So now what I can do is just go to these other ones that I had open and whoopsie. Oh dear, I don't want to delete anything I don't want to delete. Let's make sure I'm on the right page. Okay, so I want to get rid of this page. Do I want to save anything? No. Okay, so this is what we need right here. We need all these pieces so that when you're done, you'll have the parts for your children in your classroom, your children wherever, to be able to tell you the story, right? So let's see. First thing I do is I guess I will go ahead and trace the pizza. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up the trace panel, which is this one over here that looks like a piece of toast or a butterfly. Click on that and say select the trace area. Then just draw a box around the part you want to trace. And obviously I need to up my threshold to get this. I just need to make sure I get the outer edge like that, and it's fine. Then I'll say trace and detach. So that leaves me with the pizza, and I can get rid of this square that was around it because I no longer need it. So I'll just click on it to select it and hit delete on my keyboard. Now these next ones, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do. I'm thinking that shall I have them individual pieces? Would the kids have more fun, or should I just have them all lumped together? I think the kids will have more fun if they're individual pieces so they can kind of make the pizza themselves. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to come over here to select the trace area, select all of these and see how this is going to work. Up the threshold a bit, quite a bit, so I can get the French fry or whatever those are. I'm not sure. I don't remember those things. Okay, that looks terrific. So I'll say trace and detach. So now I can move this white sheet out of here, click on it to highlight it, hit delete on my keyboard, and now I have all these little individual guys right here. But you know what? Before I move these, I might as well just add the offset to them all. So I'm just going to, if they're far enough apart, let's see. Let's try it. If I leave it like this, and if I come over to the offset panel, say offset, see how they're overlapping each other? That's not what I want, so I'm going to cancel that. So what I need to do is I need to move them further apart. So there's room for the offset without them touching each other. So the pretzels probably need moved also. Okay, so that's probably pretty good. Let's try it now. Grab everything, say offset. Perfect, just like that. I'm going to leave the it at the default of 0.125. And say apply. Okay, the next thing I want to do now is after I put the offset on, I want to change all the offset colors to white. And then I want to change the line color. And this is especially important if you're using Cricut Design Space. I want to change the line color to a medium gray, maybe the first, second, third, or fourth gray in, like that. And then it's just fine. And now what I want to do is I need to group each one of these pieces with its offset, because you see I can just take it right off and I don't want to do that. So easy way to do that is grab this one, right click and say group. Grab these two together, right click and say group. But an even easier way to do that is grab these two, hit the control key on my keyboard, and while I'm holding that down, click the G for group. Again, Control and G. Again, Control G, Control G. If I don't do this, if I don't group them, I would, well, I don't want to group both those together. If I don't group those, I'll be able to move the image off of its offset, and I want them to stay together. So again, I'm just hitting Control G on my keyboard for each one of these. Okay, now those are all done. Check it out. So the kids can have fun loading up this little pizza over here, piling them up, and counting, naming what they are. I forget what in the world are they. Oh, that's the papaya. No, that's not the papaya. I forget what that is. There's the pepperonis. I'm going to have to go look at the book again. All right. So next we come with the pistachio nuts, the pickles, the popcorn, and the papaya. So again, I'm just going to come over here to the trace panel, select the trace area, just draw a box around all of this. Up the threshold and say trace and detach. Maybe the white sheet over, and I see a few, I don't know if you can see it, right here there's a popcorn that didn't quite work right, and right here see a little bit of yellow, and you can see over here it's white. It's probably because there was an open edge in these, but I'll show you an easy way. I'm going to not worry about that at all. So let's see, first thing I'll do is this. I'm going to do this a quicker way than what I had done the last one. I'm going to take one of these and one pistachio nut, and I'll just get rid of all the rest of these. Just going to draw a box around them and delete them. But first I should have counted how many there were, so let's see, in case that's important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and offset these guys. So come over here to the offset panel, offset them, make it white, make the line color that third gray. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these two and right click and duplicate Or with these two duplicated and selected, I can hold down my Alt key, which changes the arrow into a plus sign, which means I'm going to add one or duplicate. So now we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and that's how many there were. And that was a lot easier than all that grouping mess. I'm going to do the same thing with these pickles. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Delete them. Grab this one, put an offset on it, leave it at the default, change the offset's color to white, the line color to that gray, and I should group it first, I guess. Gee, I wonder if these aren't grouped. I bet. They're not, darn it. Well, let me finish the pickles first. So I group these now. So now I'm going to hold down my Alt key. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, these guys up here are going to be a pain in my neck again, so I'm going to delete those. I'll just group this one already. And then I'm going to group these two together. Actually, I'll just group them separately. Group, grab both parts, Control G for group. And then I'm going to grab both of these again and hold down my Alt key, or if you prefer, you can right click and say duplicate. But I like to hold down my Alt key, which changes to a plus. So I have 2 right there. Now I have 4, 6, 8, 10. All right. So the popcorn now, let's see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Not that that really matters. I'll just grab out 2 of them. Get rid of all these. Delete. So with this one and this one selected, I'm going to select them and I'm going to add offsets to them. I'm going to come up here again to change the offset to white. Change the color of the outline to that gray color, and that's pretty much needs to be done just for Cricut Design Space. You don't need to do it for your Cameo machine. But again, there were 13 of these. So, oh, I didn't group it yet. Let's undo. And you see what happens if I don't group it? The colored piece can be taken right off of the offset. So I'm going to hit Control G to group, Control G to group, and then I'm going to grab these two, hold down my Alt key. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then I'll just duplicate one more. Whoopsie, I didn't duplicate it right. 13. So there should be 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, and then there's 2 papayas, so I can get rid of one of them. Add an offset to this one. Default offset. Change the offset color to white. Change the line color of the offset to gray, that medium gray. Grab both of those, Control G for group, or right click and group. And then I could also right click now and duplicate, or I could Control D, or I could hit my Alt button. Different ways to do different things. But these are all done now also. So that's the end of the only things that we need for this little manipulative. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to cut these out with my Cameo. Let's see. I'm going to come over here and say Auto Cameo 4. I'm going to change my mat to a 12 by 24. Remember, I don't really have a 12 by 24 Cameo mat, but I use my Cricut mat. And the media size I have has to be custom because I'm using that paper that I buy from Staples, and I have it linked in my shop, and I probably have it linked below as well, but it is 11 by 17. And the other thing I need to do is show the cut border and turn on my registration marks. So now I'm curious to see how much of this stuff I can fit on here. So I'm going to just drag all this stuff over. And I don't know if this will work or not, but let's give it a try. I'm going to grab all these things, come way over here to the nesting panel, and say nest. Okay, so that nested quite a bit of things nicely, but not everything will fit. So I'll need to, I think I'll take this off. And then I'll go ahead and nest again. And now they all fit on there very easily. So I'll just print this, and I'll show you what else I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to File, Print. Okay, look what's here. This is important. Look at your print preview. Have you changed the preferences that you need for your paper? I need to cancel this because that was still showing up, I think 8.5 by 11 paper, and I'm using 17 by 11. So I need to go to File, Page, or Print Setup. And you see where it says Letter? I need to change that to the size I need. And also, I know that my big paper on my printer, which I also have linked in my store if you're wanting to know what I use, I have it in cassette 2. All right. So now watch when we go to File, Print, and now when we see the preview, look, everything shows up perfectly. Okay. So now I'll go to Print, and I am going to change the preferences because I'm going to make it not standard but high. I like to use a high quality. Say OK, and print. So now these will be printing. And now after they're done printing, what I will do is just go to Send. And if you'll notice right now, look at all of these pieces have 2 cuts. One around the inside of the item and one around the offset. That's not what I want. So I need to grab all of this stuff and not say cut here, but rather cut edge. And it looked weird for a minute there. There we go. I just had to click back on it to get it to look right. And now it's going to just simply cut the edge of all of those parts. When I'm done with that, what I think I will do is to go ahead and cut another whole sheet without printing anything on it. You've probably seen me do this before. It's so that I have another set that's just plain white that I can glue on the back of these pieces to make them sturdier for kids' play. And of course, if you wanted to and had access, you could laminate them just to make them really sturdy. But since mine are just for my grandbabies, I think that they'll be okay if they're just doubled. So I'm going to go get that and I'll be back. Okay, I cut all the pieces that have been printed first, and now I'm ready to do the other thing. And I'd like you to look up at my screen because there is something you need to do or it won't work right. Because if you send through a blank piece of paper with nothing printed on it, like this, your machine's going to keep looking for these registration marks and it won't be able to find them. So what you need to do is come back up here to the page setup panel and turn off the registration marks. You don't need those on there. Leave everything the same, just as it is. Don't move anything if you don't want to. Just go Send. And again, you want to make sure that it's just cutting around the outside edge of these things because you're going to have them then fit perfectly together. Leave the settings just as they are if they worked well for you. Just say Send and say yes, and I'm going to cut those and I'll be back. Okay, I had one more thing to show you in Silhouette and then we'll move over to Cricut. So in Silhouette now I took the pizza pie, I added an offset to it, and then I duplicated it like this. Then what I did after that, I ungrouped it so that I could get rid of the colorful part, and all I would be left with, can you see that line just barely, right? All I'd be left with is the outside line for that, which I will be able to use as just a cut file, even though I'm doing print then cut. And of course I did change its color to white, and I also changed the line color to the gray so that Cricut can find it easily. Then the next thing I'm going to do for my Silhouette is go to Send, and notice it's also doing the inside and outside, so I have to grab both of these again and say Cut Edge, and then I'm going to send it to Print first, so I should have stayed at Print. And it's not going to print anything down here because it doesn't print white. But when I send it to the cutter, it is going to cut that. Okay, so now let me go ahead and print this, and then I will go to, let's make sure it's all there. Well, we can't really see that's there, but we know it is. So we'll say print. Okay, and I'll take this white part off of here that I did already cut the white pieces out. They're just blank white pieces, and I'm going to take those apart because I need to get this off of this mat so I can use the mat again before we move on to Cricut. So it'll just take me a minute or two. Okay, I'm going to show you something that I'm going to do for Cricut today that I don't always do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a box over here and draw out a box, and I'm going to make the box the size that we can print and cut in Cricut Design Space. So that means the box will be, let's say 9.25 inches tall by 6.75 inches wide. No, 6.75 inches wide. So that's how big of a space that we can print and cut with Cricut Design Space. So then what I'm going to do is this. I think I'll duplicate that. Hold down my Alt key and make another one, put it over here. Looks like I'm going to have to make my pizza pie smaller, but that's okay. So now what I can do is I can just ungroup these guys and start bringing them. Let's send this to the back. Right click, send to the back. Start bringing these over here and putting them on here, however many I can, on each print and cut piece sheet. Like I said, I don't always do this, but this way it's going to save me from having to slice over there. You've probably seen me having to slice oftentimes when I bring my print and cuts in, because I forget and bring them in too large. So, but I can fit quite a bit on here, I bet. I'm just willy-nilly putting things on here. Oops. So that's probably just about all that I can fit on here comfortably. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all these and group them. And I don't have to do all of this. You'll get the idea. What I'll do with the pizza pie is just to grab both pieces at once and skinny them in so that the proper size that they'll fit on the print and cut size mat. But while I have this selected, I'm going to come over here to File, Save Selection, oopsie, Save to Hard Drive, and I'm going to name it Pizza Toppings, for Cricut. Now remember, if you have the business edition of the software, it's the only time you'll be able to do this. If you try to get this drop-down menu and find the JPEG, you won't find it if you don't have the business edition of the software. I have a link for you to purchase it down below. It's a one-time purchase. You'll use it for everything for your Cricut. But we're going to save this as a JPEG and say OK. Leave all this alone. Save. Now all you have to do, and this is so much easier than Inkscape, I think. Open Cricut Design Space. Oh, darn it, the one thing we will have in there, let me go back 1 second. What I would ordinarily want to do is ungroup this, because I want to get that box out of there. We don't need to save that. So I'm just going to grab all these again and group, and then I'm going to save this again. File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and I will just name it, go back to that JPEG, and it should show up. Pizza Topping, yes, for Cricut. Okay. Yes, I'm going to replace it because I don't want that other one. Okay, 150, that's good. Save. So you leave all those buttons the same as usual. So now I'm going to come over to Cricut Design Space again. Go to Upload. All right, so we're going to go to a new project, upload. Oh boy, Cricut Design Space seems to be misbehaving. Let me close all those windows. Quit. Try it again. Cricut Design Space. New project. Upload. Okay. Upload an image. Browse. Pizza toppings for Cricut. And there they are, coming in beautifully. All I have to do now is hit complex and continue. Now remember what we're going to do. See all those little light gray lines around there? We want to use the select and erase so that we can get rid of all this extra white but just leave the nice offsets. So what I'll probably need to do is go to advanced options, and I always try the number 8 first when I'm doing this with my Cricut. Come over here and click. And let's see if everybody's offset is still on perfectly. Yep, look beautiful. Continue. Save. You're saving these as a print then cut. So I would just open them, insert the image. And it might come in at the wrong size. See, it says it's too big. But we know we saved it at a good size for Cricut. So I'm going to change this back to 9.25. With the lock locked, and just hit enter. And so now this will work. I can say make it, and it's going to print these and cut them beautifully for my classroom, my grandkids, my students, little kids who like to play school, anything. But let's go back one more time and look at this for a second. And you may be wondering, well, how can I tell if it's going to leave that offset around there? Well, that's really easy to know. All you have to do is come down here to where it says blank canvas. When you click on that, nothing happens. It doesn't seem to be. But if you look way up here, very light, you'll see the word color. And under that, there's a little square that's white. Click on that little square. You can change the background color now to anything. And now you can see exactly what's going to cut out. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you'll understand that even if you're not making these things, you're learning new techniques that you can use with whatever you're making. So I appreciate your being here. Appreciate all the support you give me by using my links, the thumbs up, the comments, the subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you again for joining me. Hey, I'll have the link right now for you so that after you watch this with your kids, you can watch me reading this story about Pete. So thanks again. Bye.